Шановні колеги, все.
Dear colleagues, good morning. We begin the briefing of Volodymyr Demchyshyn, Minister of Energy and Coal Industry. The topic introduction of reforms and the necessary precondition to achieve a transparent working of energy system. Please. Morning, colleagues. I was told that we have 40 minutes. I'll try not to make my part long and to give you more opportunity to ask you all valuable questions. So briefly, about the main three directions that are my responsibility. Coal industry, electric energy, and oil and gas. As to coal, briefly, I would like to inform you that during the last week, we paid to miners quite a big part of debts. They're still dead. December and almost for January we covered, and we were supported by the budget. We received 200 million planned from the budget in order to cover debts for 2014, and additionally we received money from Center Energy. No, they detect they have a debt more than $500 million, and we have very difficult negotiations, and also there is a big problem to confirm that volume from Lviv Wuhila during January factory. There are technical issues to confirm volumes and quality and sums for that period, but that is quite working moments, and I believe that during next week we'll handle that issue. Before the Easter, we would like to do a lot because of the new year. That will be a milestone, and we'll try to cover many issues. And first of all, we need to cover debts. As to mines, the next issue is Volodymyr, and I mean coal. Volodymyr is working well. That is allows us to. There are 3 blocks, 3 units, and during the last 2 days, that allows us to support the energy system. 900 megawatt, almost. That's what their capacity, and that is quite good for energy systems. And in addition to that, I will speak more about electric energy. That allows to burn 8,000 tons daily, and accordingly about 250-300,000 tons of concentrates. So we can burn at Volodymyr. It's not 100% capacity. We extract, or potentially we can mine at our mines about 350,000 tons. So there's one. We need 100 more thousands to sell somewhere. For export, there are lots of limitation because in our coal we have a lot of sulfur, and more than 3% on some mines, and European consumers and international consumers very seldom they buy coal with concentration higher than 2% of sulfur. So we lose on price. When we spoke, there are some proposals, and international big traders pay $25 per ton, and so that's a real price for our coal. But even 25 hryvnia to sell it. It seems to me that it doesn't make sense. I don't speak about sell cost because it's higher. It's about 1,100 hryvnia. So you're trying to sell it in Ukraine. Zahid Energo did not confirm that they are ready to start purchasing, and we speak about 100,000, and we agreed about they received the call, but they didn't confirm formally that they are ready. They received it and they didn't measure it and they didn't pay. So, and they didn't want to get. There's this difficult situation, but in any case, we balance the problem through Volodymyr. This is approximately what is happening in coal. I had a meeting with trade unions, and tomorrow there will be a big meeting with trade unions of and general directors of in the ministry. We would like to summarize formation of the strategy of development of coal industry and to develop to discuss plans, how possibilities to develop some mines and to stop mines that are not profitable. It's a good strategy when zone directors and with the news we are trying to develop a common position that will bring that program to the cabinet ministers and then we'll implement it. I told you that about 2 weeks ago a new deputy started to work on this. Igor Martinkov, during the last 2 weeks, he was working well. I have positive expectations about that. Of course, the situation is difficult, and I told you many times, for long the war, we didn't take difficult decisions. We received money from the budget. Now the situation is substantially different during the last month and a half, and Ohledka was not working, and there was no mines. And during that month and a half, a lot of mines were dead, and that's a big problem because the payment was calculated. Payment for electricity was not going anywhere because you have to ventilate, you have to pump water. So 70% of expenditures at the mine just empty, and it means that they. So idling for a month and a half, that's a big problem for the ministry. What is happening? Let's speak about electric power. That's one more direction. A big difficult situation with the coal supplies, and the reserves were limited, and during the last months power stations burned 500,000 tons, and we have a reserve about 700,000 of gas, coal and anthracite, so 200 anthracite coal, and 1.4 that was a month ago, but that is quite a critical level. What is happening? On one hand, we see that DTEK, Ukrainian coal mine, DTEK would not want to buy that coal, and they tell us a difficult story that the tariff is not sufficient, it doesn't cover the cost of coal, that's why they cannot extract, that's why they don't deliver coal to power stations, and they burn reserves. And after half a year of negotiations about the self-cost of coal, in the ministry we are convinced that the self-cost of coal is about 800-900 hryvnia. In the balance, we included into the balance of 1,500, and then self-cost of 1 kilowatt is 75 capex. With their capacity and efficiency, they work on Burштyn, they have 8 units, Ladizhin 5 units, and Kurahov 5 units, and so The capacity is a little bit different now. They have lots of units under repair, but under that, with that efficiency, with that, the self cost should be less than 70 capex with the tariffs. Even for the previous months, March, 80 capex in, and that was critically unacceptable. And tariffs for April it will be on the level of 90 capex. Seems to me that's a quite adequate economy, and it's easy to calculate in volumes. And now for a month, in a month they produce about 4 billion kilowatt hours. Quite easy to calculate the general sum. But under such conditions, anyways, they are crying. They say we cannot pay facility, or minus we reduce extraction, etc. It seems to me the position is not fair, not adequate. But only competition can save that situation. That's why we support Central Energy, Central Energo under such conditions, and with a capacity with 3 units working at Ulrika. Now they switched on in Tripilya 1 more unit, and they will plan to put on 1 more unit on Zmijska's power station, and there will be self-cost will be like that, and they can take about 25, maybe even 30% of the market. And Donbas Energo switched on the unit on Slavyanska station for 400 megawatt, and 4 megawatt will be in a short period of time, maybe. So that is that counter activity to that big player that would force it to work according to adequate on adequate conditions, and so that's what we are doing. Many of you ask me what we are doing, so we're trying to bring to feelings monopolists and to convince them that the economy they get under these adequate conditions, it is more than sufficient to have money, to have capital, to invest into equipment, and not to be under repair on all the power stations. And at present, they have 3 units. Two blocks in Zaporizhia, 3 in Ladizhino, 2 in Bushtin, under repair. It looks like a catastrophe. Yes, I understand that gas blocks, gas units were used more aggressively during winter time. But there should be a planned approach. You can switch off 1 by 1 blocks, and I understand it's force majeure. It's we control the situation because we would like to have Central Energo should be better used, and in the end also import, and there were a lot of conversations and criticism about import, but that strategy is working. At present, 1 kilowatt, a kilowatt we are buying costs 80 capex, and tariffs, DTEC will have 90 capex. As minimum in April, import will be competitive for DTEC. I don't want us to import power and to limit internal production. But if the units are to be under repair, they should be under repair. What can we do? So this is this life. As to Naftogaz, briefly, you know that today winter package is over, and there were a lot of conversations about price, about volumes, and with the European Commission, and there were several meetings, and the situation was balanced, and at present, during the last week, we, from our underground where reserves. We pumped about 10 billion and million, and we received daily 40-50 from abroad, and from Russia the volume was less than 10 million. Under such conditions, and the reserve have more than 7.7 billion cubic meters, the situation is quite balanced, and the consumption, as soon as last week, as soon as it became warmer, the consumption is reducing daily. So 100 million, it's 55 European, and the consumption today, since April 1st, consumption is on the level 110, but it's very sensible to temperature. And we are talking about the necessity to switch off heat and boilers for 2 weeks, and before Easter, during the last 10 days, as a rule, it becomes colder, and that's why I believe that as soon as the temperature gets stabilized, we'll demand Teplocommunenero to be switched off from the system, and to reduce the consumption. That will allow to reduce air consumption to that level which we can ensure without taking from reserves and from Russia. But we have an agreement with Russia, which is statements of Gazprom, and they give a discount of $10 and the situation is more or less balanced. As to Ukernafta, Ukrtransnafta, there were a lot of the main goal is to get operation control. You will ask your questions, don't worry. As you remember, last week, Mr. Miroshnik was appointed and I told you that that is for temporary, and after Naftogaz announced such competition, we looking at people from the industry, crisis managers, and different professionals. I believe that in some time there will be a package from which we'll be able to choose adequate person for Transnafta. The law was voted for Transnafta, and after we are ready to have all the procedures to call the supervisor meeting and to have a general meeting, but in that legal under that legislation, all these all these activities will be questioned in courts, and we'll do that. But but after the new law is introduced, introduce yourself. Channel 24. Negotiations. There will be negotiations. What are you going to talk about if we will be without Russia? We need a contract. We need to prepare for the next heating season, and we need to prepare not for the second quarter, but for the winter package until you name packages. We're interested in period. How it will be called, it's not that principle for us. It's important to understand the price until the end of the year 2016. And it will be in effect since today. as soon as we sign documents. For the second quarter, the situation more or less clear. Then there is a formula, and there is a principal agreement that it will be for longer, and we need to sign documents. And you understand, I explained to you that there is the situation is balanced, and of course, we hope that our industry will develop. And if gas price is falling, and I understand that the economy will consume more, then somehow we will have to cover the difference. Please ask questions, because don't make up. When Reuters settled that we stop purchasing, I didn't tell that. I told them that we have a chance for that. So, and the panic has started. So you attract attention, I understand, but by that you do create a panic on the market. I would like to come back to the issue of any import-export of electric power. You said that you raise price. You're going to raise price for Crimea. We negotiate. So, why? Why didn't you sign the agreement in December for low price? And what do you think? I don't think it was a low price. If it's possible to raise it because the conditions are different now, why not? But Crimea paid that price. No, 285. That was without VAT. What will be the price? We have some expectations. Until it is signed, I understand it's important for you to give a news. And for me, it's important to agree legally. So it's early. It's an early idea. As you know, in Ukraine, there are some strikes of miners, and because of the debts, salary debts, and miners from Western Ukraine, from Donbass, and they say that the price should be 1,500 DTEC, that says. DTEC with a sell cost, as I told you, is about on the level of 800 hryvnia. They think the adequate price is 1,500. Business structures, they wanted to get a profit. That's correct. But under these conditions, when electric power is a key part of sell cost in many Ukrainian enterprises, it seems to me that this is opportunities that is to start this economic development. Keeping it on a clever level of the cost of basic product, and that's gas, and we're trying to reduce the price, and we're paying $300, and now we're planning to pay less, $215 less. It seems to me this is a substantial assistance to business. Electric power, keeping the tariff on the level we have, it's make a question. It's even for the first class. What our exporters pay? It's 1 hryvnia 10. Today it's less 5 cents. In Europe, and the price for electric power is approximately on that level. But there are some other neighbors with higher price. So raising the price for electric power will automatically make our products competitively not competitive. When we hold it, when we keep it on this level, give them a chance to compete and to enlarge production, not to dismiss people, but to create new jobs and to pay taxes, etc. That's a key task for me, but yesterday Prime Minister told that if not to start to accumulate, to store coal, if they're not, if warehouses are not filled with coal, there will be no money for coal. So it's a critical situation how we're going to solve it, because urgently have to accumulate coal. Look, heating seasons begins in October. in a better case. You understand that any coal at warehouses is losing its quality because of, it's damp and there are less of calories and it gets oxidized. To keep it for long on the warehouse, it doesn't make sense. We need to have enough of it to provide the production of electric power. That's correct. But as a rule, we purchase a lot of coal for. We do usually buy in August for the season. In a short time, we can fill warehouses with necessary amount, and on wax, we had 1.5 million in our warehouse before the heating period. We would like to improve the situation for the next heating period, and we will 2.5, maybe 3, 2.5 million tons, and 1.5 million for G and anthracite 1 million. That's enough to live through the next heating period. These volumes could be created in 2 months. That's why urgently to build the store. If we burnt 500,000 tons in a month, we should fill the warehouse with that. Because we're on quite a low level, and some stations they have a reserve for 3-4 days. But during the last half a year, we've got used to work under such conditions. To burn from wheels. Now it's warm. You don't need to unfreeze coal. So logistic works well. Railroad is doing its job efficiently. So for Volodymyr, 10,000 tons come, and it's the biggest. Usually 14. Yesterday we delivered 14. Historically, they were not able to process more than 8. So under such, the system is working efficiently, more efficiently. We need, of course, to have coal in storage, but we have enough of time. Before October, we will do all of that. Now we are trying to balance the system. In September, in August, it's important for us to load our mines. Speak to the tech. They believe that with this tariffs and margin they make, it makes sense, no sense for them to mine coal. Has Ukraine stopped to import gas? Відпочинь. Are you planning to import coal? Yes. As soon as we get the confirmation about the price, which will be lower than in Europe, and of course, now, you don't listen to me. Now we are buying from Europe up to 45 million cubic meters, and the price is average up to around 280. If you can pay 250, it makes sense to use this opportunity. So the winter package will be over. Where are we? Do we have agreements? Are we? Do we use what kind of principle are we using? The principle take and pay doesn't work. Do we work according to the agreement of 2009? Because winter package stopped its existence yesterday, so we automatically come to the agreement of 2009. So pay and take. On April 13, we'll sign a document which will correct, which will bring the clearance to the whole period. What we'll do until April 14, Gazprom and Naftogaz will sign an agreement to purchase gas. Today we're not buying. Since April 1 to April 14, what will be the principle? How will we act with Russia? If we get the price 250, we'll buy.
It was your words. there will be memorandum signed until the end of the heating period of 2016. Dear colleagues, may I ask you to use mics. Between Naftogaz and Gazprom, there is a kind of operational activity on a daily basis when they approve the supply volume, they exchange letters. I mean, Kobolev and Mr. Miller, and you saw the statement by Miller yesterday. So as soon as they clear and agree the technological agreement to confirm the price, whether it will be tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, so until the final agreement, until the end of the heating period of 2016 is signed, we will not buy and we will not pay. But what will be the buying terms and conditions? It will be done according to the price considerations in the big agreements, given the discount that Miller mentioned yesterday. Legally, no, but de facto it will be, yes. Say, starting from 18th of March, has the question of technical oil preservation been regarded at the cabinet session? And what is your position, I mean, your ministerial position about technological crude? At the moment, we are carrying out an analysis to analyze how to do it in the best technologically best possible way. I'm not the technologist myself to say how it is possible and whether it is possible and what is the best way to do it, because you know that part of the tube is in the area of military actions and no crude will be returned there, but we still have capacities to store this oil. I still don't know the outcome of this analysis. I do know that they carry it out, and as soon as, and if it's possible, they will return the crude back to the tube. You also said that you mandated public or state-owned oil and gas enterprises to transfer their account to state banks. Any progress there? You know, it is a complex technological matter, and 3-month period has been given to such enterprises to transfer their accounts. I did sign that order, but there is a transitional period to make it in a good and proper step-by-step way, because this is not done in a snap. So no stress, no panic here. It will be done in a planned way. Those who will not be able to do it within the specified time, they will have to explain why they were not able, and we will see what to do with them. But no hassle with it. So all those statements that, oh well, how it will influence the banking system, I don't think it will affect the system anyway. It will be a very planned transition, because it was the decision of principle that we voiced up, and it is not the desire just to do it in one day. Valeria Shaparenko, Ukraine TV channel. Could you please briefly explain about the coal remaining at thermal power plants, or about quantities? And see, this is kind of buffer quantity that is left there. As of today, 82,000 tons were brought to warehouses, and about 82 or 83,000 tons were burned at these plants. So all these statements that we have just 2 or 3 day long stocks, it is about incorrect understanding, because every day we have new volumes of coal incoming. 1.5 million ton stock that we had at the beginning of winter, it would be used for during 22 days if no more supplies. But we managed to go through the winter retaining certain stock, this buffer stock, because we had incoming supplies of coal to cope for these daily burning rates. Within 1 month we would burn more. I don't know the reasons for that. I don't understand partly why it happened so, because, say, Volodymyr thermal power plant was off, then they put it back online, and they supply about 10,000 ton on a daily basis, which is sufficient for that TPP to operate. And about 10,000 ton go to Zmiivka and Tripilska TPPs. These are the stations, plants operated by Center Energos, public company. The stores, they are adequate. And I think that this is really a positive signal. We'll see how the situation will develop further on. As regards coal stocks in general, as you mentioned, I see now no reasons to speak about shortages of supplies to TPPs, because state-owned mines, 35 of them under the aegis of the ministry, produce about 15,000 tons daily. Coal concentrate, I mean, the one that we mostly supply to Volodymyr TPP, but we can also supply it to other TPPs operated by DTEC. DTEC itself has two big groups, Pavlograd and Dobropilya, that have daily production rate at around 55 to 60,000 tons. And as I mentioned already, a mine is about conditional fixed costs. For that reason, they have no reason to reduce their production. And what they really need to do, and what we need to do, is to understand that the tariffs, existing tariffs, do cover the production cost. So someone needs to continue working from the economic and technological standpoint, because managers of thermal power plants, they are responsible for providing their own plants with proper quantities of fuel, and they have to respond for this, their liability. So in the case when this company controls substantial market segment, and this should be the question for the anti-monopoly committee, by the way, to check into it. But anyway, if they have this material segment on the market for themselves, they need to understand that regulatory authorities and the ministry will have a very keen eye on them, and they will closely monitor what they are doing in terms of complying with legislative and regulatory requirements. So am I correct to understand that the coal we currently produce in Ukraine is enough for us, and we are not considering the question of coal imports? No, there will be no imports. But the coal that we produce, is it possible to transport it to the place of consumption? Is it not related to occupied territories? Well, occupied territories are mostly about anthracite coal, but still we have quite large quantities of anthracite coals coming to Ukrainian territory. DTEC has a number of mines for that. Rovenki and Sverdlov anthracite, which are two bigger mining complexes. They also rent Komsomolis Donbass, a big mine that produces around 500,000 ton on a monthly basis. There are some state-owned mines as well. Actually, as I already mentioned, that within this April we will be able to get up to 500,000 anthracite, 500,000 tons of anthracite coal from that region. The mines, they also have their own stocks quite full, and most of them have re-registered as legal entities onto the territory of Ukraine, and they do payments here, and wages that they're due to miners, they They do it through Ukrainian banks using payment cards, and the system is ticking like a clock. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Volodymyr, for this very nice briefing. And we are going to have briefing by Colonel Lysenko in just minutes.